Knucklebones, Fivestones, or jacks, is a game of ancient origin, usually played with 5 small objects, or 10 in the case of jacks. Originally the knucklebones were those of a sheep, which were thrown up and caught in various manners. Modern knucklebones consist of 6 points, or knobs, proceeding from a common base, and are usually made of metal or plastic. The winner is the first player to successfully complete a prescribed series of throws, which, though similar, differ widely in detail. The simplest throw consists in tossing up one stone, the jack, and picking up one or more from the table while it is in the air. This continues until all 5 stones have been picked up. Another throw consists in tossing up first one stone, then 2, then 3 and so on, and catching them on the back of the hand. Different throws have received distinctive names, such as riding the elephant, peas in the pod, and horses in the stable. As with many children's playground games, the game is known by a wide variety of names including astragaloi, hucklebones, dibs, dibstones, jackstones, chuckstones, fivestones, jack rocks, annices, or snobs. History. The origin of knucklebones is closely connected with that of dice, of which knucklebones is probably a more primitive form. Sophocles, in a fragment, ascribed the invention of knucklebones to Palamedes, who taught it to his Greek countrymen during the Trojan War. Both the Iliad and the Odyssey contain allusions to games similar in character to knucklebones, and the Palamedes tradition, as flattering to the national pride, was generally accepted throughout Greece, as is indicated by numerous literary and plastic evidences. Thus Pausanias mentions a temple of fortune in which Palamedes made an offering of his newly invented game. According to a still more ancient tradition, Zeus, perceiving that Ganymede longed for his playmates upon Mount Ida, gave him Eros for a companion and golden dibs with which to play. He even condescended to sometimes join in the game. It is significant, however, that both Herodotus and Plato ascribe a foreign origin to the game. Plato, in Phaedrus, names the Egyptian god Thoth as its inventor, while Herodotus relates that the Lydians, during a period of famine in the days of King Artes, originated this game and indeed almost all other games, with the exception of chess. There were 2 methods of playing in ancient times. The first, and probably the primitive method, consisted in tossing up and catching the bones on the back of the hand, very much as the game is played today. There is a painting excavated from Pompeii, currently housed in the Museum of Naples, which depicts the goddesses Latona, Niobe, Phoebe, Aglaia and Heliera, with the last 2 being engaged in playing a game of knucklebones. According to an epigram of Asclepiodotus, astragaloi were given as prizes to schoolchildren, and we are reminded of Plutarch's anecdote of the youthful Alcibiades, who, when a teamster threatened to drive over some of his knucklebones that had fallen into the wagon ruts, boldly threw himself in front of the advancing team. This simple form of the game was generally only played by women and children, and was called pentalitha or 5 stones. There were several varieties of this game besides the usual toss and catch. One being called tropa, or hole game, the object of which was to toss the bones into a hole in the earth. Another was the simple game of odd or even. The second, probably derivative, form of the game was one of pure chance, the stones being thrown upon a table either from the hand or from a cup, and the values of the sides upon which they fell were counted. The shape of the pastern bones used for astragaloi as well as for the tali of the Romans, with whom knucklebones was also popular, determined the manner of counting. The pastern bone of a sheep, goat, or calf has 2 rounded ends upon which it cannot stand and 2 broad and 2 narrow sides, one of each pair being concave and one convex. The convex narrow side, called chios or the dog, was counted as 1, the convex broad side as 3, the concave broad side as 4, and the concave narrow side as 6. 4 astragaloi were used and 35 different scores were possible in a single throw. Many of these throws received distinctive names such as Aphrodite, Midas, Solon, and Alexander. Among the Romans, some of the names were Venus, King, and Vulture. The highest throw in Greece counted 40, and was called the Euripides. It was probably a combination throw, since more than 4 sixes could not be thrown at a single time. The lowest throw, both in Greece and Rome, was the dog. Modern game. The modern game may use a rubber ball, and the knucklebones, typically a set of 10, are made of metal or plastic. There are variants of how the players decide who goes first. It is usually through flipping, but maybe via dip, or eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or a variant thereof. To set up the game, the jacks are scattered loosely into the play area. The players in turn bounce the ball off the ground, pick up jacks, and then catch the ball before it bounces for a second time. The number of jacks to be picked up is preordained and sequential. At first you must pick up 1, next 2, and so on, depending on the total number of jacks included. The number may not divide evenly, and there may be jacks left over. If the player chooses to pick up the leftover jacks first, one variation is to announce this by saying horse before carriage, or queens before kings. The playing area should be decided between the players since there is no official game rule regarding that. The winning player is the one to pick up the largest number of jacks, and the game can be made more challenging by playing with 15 or 20 jacks. Regardless of the total number of jacks in play, the player who gets to the highest game wins. Game 1 is usually single bounce. Game 2 is chosen by whoever graduates from Game 1 first, and so on. Some options for subsequent games are double bounces, pigs in the pen, over the fence, eggs in the basket, Flying Dutchman, around the world, etc. Some games, such as Jack Be Nimble, are short games which are not played in the aces to tenses format. Games played with knucklebones. Overhand 1s, 2s, 3s, force a Euro first jockey, then eliminate all you have caught except 1. Throw this one up and, while it is in the air, quickly pick up 1, 2, 3, or 4, then catch the one you threw up. Repeat with remaining knucklebones. You may sweep the knucklebones prior to picking them up. Scatter 1s, 2s, 3s, force a Euro, scatter all 5, select and pick up 1, throw it up and without sweeping proceed as above. Dumps a Euro, hold 5 knucklebones in the palm, then dump them in a heap on the ground. Take one away without disturbing the others. Throw this one up, pick up the other 4, and catch the first one. Reverse dumps, hold all jacks in the hand, throw one up and dump all others down on the floor. Then throw the one up again and pick up the 4 to finish. Overhand, scatter 1s, 2s, 3s, force a Euro first jockey, then proceed to scatter remaining knucklebones. Clicks a Euro first jockey, then proceeded as with overhand 1s. When catching the one you threw up, the knucklebones must click. No click a Euro, same as above, but knucklebones must not click. Little jingles a Euro first jockey, continue as overhand 1s, but keep all jacks caught in your hand at all times. Big jingles a Euro, same as above, but all jacks must be thrown up each time. Chug lays a Euro first jockey. Throw one in the air, and while it is in the air pick up another, throw that second one up, then catch the first, then catch the second. Proceed until all the jacks have been completed. Horse in the stable, a Euro first jockey, then put the tips the 5 fingers of one hand on the ground, so as to make 4 arches. If in jockey you catch, say, 2, you put one in the stable formed by your hand. Throw the other one up and while it is up, sweep another jack through one of the arches so that it stays in the stable. You can sweep as many times as you like, but each jack must go through a different arch. Proceed until all 4 are stabled. When the 4 are in the stable, take the hand away, throw the 5th jack in the air, and, while it is up, pick up the 4 and catch the 5th. Through the arch a Euro as above, but make only 1 arch, and allow only 1 sweep to get each jack through. Over the linear Euro first jockey. Place your hand on the ground. Put all the jacks caught except 1, on the left side of the hand. Throw your jack up in the air and, while it is up, quickly move a jack from the left side of the hand to the right side. Do this until all 4 jacks are on the left side and try to keep them together. No sweeping is allowed. When the 4 jacks are in the position, throw the 5th up and pick up the other 4 and catch the 5th. over the jumper euro as above, except you put your hand vertically on its edge instead of flat, so it is more difficult. Thread the needle euro same as above except the jacks have to be dropped through a circle made by the thumb and forefinger that is held about 8 inches from the ground. Once all have gone through, pick them up. Eggs in the basket are euro same as above except that your hand is cupped palm up to form the basket. The jacks have to be placed in the basket without clicking, as this will break the eggs. Catching felice euro as scatter ones, but the catch must be done from above the jacks, making it much harder than the ordinary system of catching from below. Other challenges include, this is the house that Jack built euro. The house that Jack built is when you arrange your knuckle bones into a square. Then you go around the square with your finger, saying this is the house that Jack built. Then you throw it up in the air, catch it and put it in the middle. If, however, you land in an empty space, your turn is over. Camels euro lay the 5 jacks on the ground in a row so that there are no gaps between them. Then move the second one to the end, the fourth one to the end and then pick up the second one from the end. Jockey this one onto the back of your hand. Then pick a finger to use, and with a jack on the back of your hand, move the finger in a slalom through the line of jacks on the ground without touching them or dropping the one on the back of your hand. Once you have woven through them all, throw the one on the back of your hand into the air and pick up all of the others in one movement, finally catching the 5th. Boats in the habora euro the same as horse in the stable except the hand is flat on the ground with fingers wide apart. Cut the cabbage euro the same as catching flies except instead of a downward swipe, a horizontal swipe is performed when catching the jack euro as if a whole cabbage is in front of the player and is being sliced through the middle. Flush the toilet euro like big jingles except you must hit the ground twice each time you throw the jacks up. Sweep the kitchen euro arrange 4 jacks in a square, throw 1 jack up and pick up 1 jack from the square. While holding that one, throw the jack up again and sweep the floor underneath it. Throw the jack up a 3rd time and put the chair back down. Repeat for all 4 chairs. Then throw the jack up again and pick up all 4 at once to finish. Variations. A variation of this game known as gobs was played in Cork, Ireland, in the 1950s using 5 pebbles found on the beach. A similar game is played in many African countries using pebbles without a rubber ball. Another variation played in Australia uses 5 knucklebones from a lamb shank or coloured plastic objects that resemble the knuckle bones. The player tosses the 5 jacks in the air, catching as many as possible on the back of the hand, then tosses the jacks on the back of the hand, flips the hand over, and catches as many as possible in the palm. The player then puts down all but 1 jack which he or she has caught and tosses the last jack in the air and attempts to pick up each of the remaining jacks that are lying on the ground before catching the tossed jack in the same hand. In the first round, the jacks are picked up 1 at a time, in the second 2 at a time, and so on. Variations include swapping hands, playing with one's eyes closed, clapping quickly before picking up the jack, catching flies, and playing with a second set of jacks placed between the fingers euro first 1, then 2 etc. Another variation, played by Israeli school-age children, is known as kugelch or chamish avanim. Instead of jacks and a rubber ball, 5 die-sized metal cubes are used. The game cube is tossed in the air rather than bounced. In the northeast of England, the game with 5 cubes is called chucks. A similar game to the Israeli game above used to be played in the Midlands and was called snobs. A very similar variation called baytai is played by children in Turkey with 5 pebbles. 1 pebble is tossed into the air and the player tries to pick up those on the ground 1 by 1, then 2 by 2, and so on, before catching the pebble in the air. In Brazil, there are 2 common variations of the game. The first is similar to the Turkish version and played with pebbles. In the second, the pebbles are substituted by small cloth bags filled with either grains, or sand, and sewn shut. In modern-day Korea, a similar form of jacks called gongi is played by children. The differences there are that they use 5 weighted plastic stones called gongi and the game is played without a rubber ball. The goal of the game is to throw 1 gongi into the air, snatch up another on the ground, and catch the first gongi before it hits the floor. The game progresses in this fashion, similar to jacks, until all gongi have been picked up. Then the gongi are placed in the palm of the hand, then flipped onto the back of the hand. Depending on how many land on the player's hand, the player adds a certain number of years. At the beginning of the game, the players will determine how many years they are playing to. Chinese jacks were a popular version of jacks in the United States in the 1980s. They are made up of small, colorful, linkable plastic rings that can also be used for making friendship jewelry, chains, hopscotch, diving toys, etc. To play the game, the player first makes 5 jacks by linking 9 rings around one center ring. Then the gameplay is very similar to gongi. The Taba game is an alternative name for Knucklebones. It is a very popular game played by the gauchos of 19th century Argentina and Rio Grande do Sul. The game originates from Greece. The game is played in a field where the Taba or tailless bone is thrown to the air. Upon falling, the people making bets guess if it will fall upward or backward. See also, Shagai. References. External links, media related to category, Knucklebones at Wikimedia Commons. Media related to category, jacks at Wikimedia Commons. Statistical analysis of knucklebone throws. This article incorporates text from a publication now in the public domain. Chisholm, Hugh, ed. Encyclopædia Britannica. Cambridge University Press.